What does awakening actually entail? It is reasonable to argue that awakening is a process of going from unconscious to aware, or from limitation to freedom. Once you go on this trip, there's no turning back, whether you choose to do so consciously or because something happens to you that pushes you in that direction. It is true that the route may be difficult at times, but the amazing destination far outweighs any difficulties encountered. Freedom from personal pain, mental clarity, unending joy, inner peace, and the capacity to lead an extraordinarily meaningful life are the ultimate outcomes of full awakening. Everything we could possibly want, and much more, is within the awakened state. There are 5 stages of awakening, and if you are aware of each one and where you are in the process, you will be able to spot potential roadblocks and signposts along the route. Stage 1 of awakening, the stage of the false self. The majority of us are sleeping throughout stage 1 of awakening, and we are unaware that we are asleep. We are living our lives enmeshed in the collective awareness and typically abiding by the laws and customs of the nation. Generally speaking, we don't challenge reality or look for solutions outside of those that are strictly essential to our existence and way of life. We are defined by our identities, and we exist within the framework of society, culture, and/or religion. We could even assume the roles of the offender or victim. We are products of our unconscious programming, which makes us perceive the world in binary terms of good and bad. We probably process a strict world model based on our unique programming. In order to get acceptance and be a part of our preferred community, be it family, culture, industry, religion, etc., we frequently sacrifice our wants and compromise our principles at this stage, since there is a strong desire to fit in and be accepted. It's possible that our sense of value is conditioned and linked to our identities or the roles we perform, or that we may demonstrate our worth in different ways. We probably think of ourselves as the ego, with little or no knowledge that there is a bigger part of us, because the ego usually rules the show. Since happiness in stage 1 is dependent on external factors, we attempt to manipulate reality, other people, locations, and experiences in order to feel joyful. Despite our best efforts to manage our lives for security and pleasure, it is most probable that our emotions govern us and that our decisions and behaviors are determined by how we are feeling at any one time. We are unable to directly construct our reality because we are unable to draw a connection between our ideas and thoughts and the experiences we encounter in reality. Even though we are unconscious, this stage is when the first indications of waking appear. A flash feeling that something else exists, or a nagging uncertainty that causes us to question life or reality. Stage 2 of awakening, the stage of questioning. The doubts experienced in stage 1 begin to turn into meaningful questions. The first indications that one is transitioning from unconscious to aware state occur. During the second stage of awakening, we start to feel more uneasy in our life. Something seems to be missing or not quite right. We start to doubt the legitimacy of laws, regulations, and general awareness. Religion and customs, which once gave us solace, no longer satisfy us, and the locations where we previously found solace are no longer a source of solace. We don't yet know who we are outside of our human identity, so even when we doubt it, we cling to it because we still have to show our value. We might feel disoriented and perhaps deceived by other people or life in general when we start to doubt the roles we play. We could even assign responsibility for our issues to the government, the globe, our families, our religions, or even to particular individuals. We feel helpless over our life when we place the blame elsewhere, not understanding that we have to accept responsibility in order to regain our own power. We may transition from victim to survivor at this point, but we're probably still blaming others and feeling helpless. We start to wonder, who am I? Why have I come here? Even while we are looking for solutions, we continue to be bound by some restrictive ideas that keep us in the world we have been living in. We stay asleep a little bit longer because Fear pulls us back in when we try to question these ideas. We may go through a lot of uncertainty, overwhelm, worry, and even sadness in the process of searching for answers and feeling uncomfortable with reality. We may appear to keep up with life, but in reality, we are really going through the motions. Tolerable discomfort becomes agony and anguish when we encounter a range of obstacles meant to assist us in awakening. We receive our initial sight of the unconscious programs governing our lives when our disempowering beliefs are revealed in authentic interactions and relationships. Yet, our need to blend in and be accepted is probably bigger than any desire to break free. Even if this marks the start of our internal projects collapsing, we are still attempting to establish our value by emphasizing how important we are and requesting support for our work. Even if we are starting to realize that happiness cannot be found outside of ourselves, we are still engaging in the game of looking for it in other people, places, and experiences. There may be several emotional triggers at this point. Even now, we could encounter trauma or recall previous trauma. Since emotions are often quite intense, we may feel especially weak or exposed. We are not aware of this yet, but our problems are rising to the surface to be resolved. We may still think in black and white, perhaps even more so than in the past, even while we are starting to perceive the world in a whole different light. We have little or no link between our thoughts and our experiences in reality, because we are not ready to accept responsibility for our life. The trip within is about to begin when our hunger is no longer satisfied by the outside world. Stage 3 of awakening, the stage of introspection. We go on an introspective journey during stage 3 of awakening. After failing to find relief from our pain, suffering, or discomfort in stage 2 by rebelling against the outside world, we now withdraw and start looking inside for solutions. As we separate from the collective consciousness, we let go of a lot of restricting ideas that our obliging parents, instructors, culture, society, church, and media ingrained in us. We could feel both relieved and saddened when we let go of these ideas. If we were to live a lifetime trapped in ideas that brought us bodily agony, mental anguish, and lost enjoyment, we could mourn the life we were never able to have, but we might also be extremely relieved when we are released from constraint. We can plainly observe that the majority of the individuals we know are still sleepy as we become aware of how asleep we have been. We strive to rouse them, but our efforts are dismissed as critical and fall on deaf ears. It should come as no surprise that when we have our eyes wide open, we frequently feel more judgment about society, the outside world, and other people, friends and strangers alike. Others could sense our criticism and react defensively by passing judgment on us as well. People think we're strange, unusual, and perhaps even insane. We eventually make the decision to keep our developing awareness to ourselves, maybe on the grounds that it's preferable to remain silent than face criticism. We're not holding out much hope that others will wake up at this time. We still obsess about everything that is wrong with the world and with our lives, but we also find it difficult to let go. As we learn to let go, we may quit unfulfilling occupations, romantic relationships, families, friendships, churches, organizations, and other disempowering ways of life in stage 3. This stage is commonly referred to as the work, since it involves the practice of letting go. We may even completely distance ourselves from society, reject our former identities, and untangle ourselves from the roles we have performed. We no longer perceive the world in terms of good and bad or black and white, and our old model of the world is crumbling. While our awareness of our shared humanity may be expanding, we may also have a profound sensation of isolation from all other people. We encounter the contradiction between existence and life on many different levels. Loneliness is the most typical characteristic of stage 3. You could feel alone and unsupported in a sea of billions of people, as if no one can relate to you or understand you. You could now start to wonder why you even started the questioning in the first place. If you're going to be alone and lonely after getting up, what good is it? Even if you may not have been joyful while you slept, At least you had loved ones, friends, and support. There's no one now. You think of turning around to fit in with a family or community. You long to forget what you now know. You know it's too late, yet you long for normalcy so you can blend in with the rest. Even if you feel alone and want to fit in, you can't erase what you've remembered, and even if you could, you wouldn't turn back or change your course. At this point, concerns about our deservingness frequently arise since the means by which we previously demonstrated our value are either non-existent or unavailable because we left the position or circumstance that did so. Even while we may still make an effort to win the respect, approval, or affection of others in our life, or to have other emotional needs satisfied, this doesn't satisfy us the way it used to, and we are left feeling empty and compelled to deal with emotions of unworthiness on our own. Our yearning to be awake and free is gradually overpowering our desire to blend in and be accepted. We may start a spiritual practice like mindfulness, yoga, or meditation in an attempt to find answers and find solace from our emotional suffering. The goal of the practice is probably to help us get someplace, do something, or wake up if we are not employing it to avoid anything. In the third stage, we could feel powerful for the first time, but if the ego seizes hold of this power, we might suffer through difficult and humiliating situations. We may be able to understand by now how our ideas and thoughts shape our reality, and we attempt to take control of our thoughts, but it's a challenging process since our minds are still operating on outdated software. We may not know how to find pleasure within ourselves yet, but we no longer search for it outside of ourselves. Happiness may not always trump freedom and peace. In terms of waking, stage 3 is the most crucial and frequently the longest. It is also the most difficult stage. This stage is characterized by swings between resistance and letting go, interspersed with fleeting epiphanies and moments of clarity. During this stage, it is highly typical to have several awakenings and even come to feel that each one is the last awakening, only to discover oneself returning to reality hours, days, or weeks later. You become more and more aware of your higher self with each waking experience. Unknowingly, you are creating space in your consciousness for this true self to come into being and become part of your existence. An ego death is unavoidable at the conclusion of stage 3, even though it's normal to strive to keep a feeling of self throughout this phase and have a dread of losing oneself. One frequently realizes that existence has no meaning or purpose when the ego gives up. This may be heartbreaking and leave you feeling hopeless and depressed, or it could be freeing and feel like a breath of fresh air. Nothing stays the same in life, and we lose our sense of direction without meaning or purpose. A heightened awareness that something is emerging within you coexists with the ominous feeling that awakening will cost you everything. Stage 4 of awakening, the stage of resolution. The resolve stage, or stage 4 of awakening, is when your genuine self has at last eclipsed your ego or false self. You no longer need solutions since the battle you went through in the previous 3 phases is behind you, and you now have a profound sense of serenity and self-awareness. We lovingly refer to this as the Eckhart Tolle stage. In the last 2 levels, all of your beliefs have been completely transformed, and the ideas that are still in place promote balance and harmony. You are an expert at letting go and giving yourself over to a greater force. Without ego control, you are also aware of and able to utilize your inner strength. Faith and trust have taken the place of doubt. Your history and present all make sense to you because of your ability to observe and comprehend your life. You've extended forgiveness to everyone, even to yourself. You are no longer imprisoned by mental or emotional chains. Consciousness has taken the place of unconscious training. You stop placing blame on other people and accept full responsibility for your life. All others who have ever been impacted by your expectations and judgment have also been set free as you have set yourself free. You are not attempting to establish your value anymore. You now feel unconditional love for yourself because you recognize and value your inherent worth. You feel a deep and profound connection to all of existence, even if you could still be alone on your path. The loneliness has probably dissipated into a sense of oneness with everything. You no longer feel the need or desire for the previous paradigm of relationships, and you are no longer trying to fit in or be normal. You give yourself permission to be who you are without waiting for validation or acceptance from others. You are pleasantly delighted to learn that some people you know are genuinely awakening, and you no longer feel the need to alter anybody or assist those you love in waking up. Every connection in your life becomes better, and the new individuals you meet fit you better. At this point, you incorporate your new knowledge and have a deeper comprehension of the path you have taken. You can mentor, teach, or share, but only if it makes you happy and you are led to do so, not because you feel obligated to or because you need to. You can be completely uninclined to help others on their trip, or you might have a strong urge to do so. As a teacher, mentor, healer, or coach, you enable others to empower themselves rather than assuming responsibility for them. You don't take things personally, and you're not particularly affected by the actions of others. In the fourth stage, it's typical to engage in some form of spiritual practice, like mindfulness, yoga, or meditation. But not because you're trying to reach a goal or go someplace, but rather because it comes naturally to you and feels good. Additionally, you can feel as though you have a direct conduit to a limitless supply of knowledge, as well as enhanced intuition and the capacity to access boundless wisdom. Living in the present is what distinguishes this stage. Living in the present moment is uncomplicated because you have come to terms with the fact that existence has no meaning or purpose. As a shared state of being, your love for life and all living things is filled to the brim with thankfulness and admiration. You no longer understand what is good or evil, but you are fully aware that love exists inside of everything and everyone. You look in the mirror and realize that you are still the same person. You have overcome ego control and have not lost any of your authentic parts in the process of waking. Even if your personalities can be identical, you are probably more laid back and fun-loving. You've either discovered a career that fits with who you are, or you've come to terms with your current line of work. Since you no longer require anything to make you happy, there is truly no idea of happiness. You now know that being present at all times is simple, and that living in the now is the key to happiness. Surprisingly, even if you have mastered your ideas and beliefs, you might not feel motivated to make any changes in your life. Emotions no longer govern you, your decisions, or your relationships, even though you probably feel the whole gamut of emotions. You spend your life as this true self, which your higher self has merged into your body. Now that you're awake and cognizant, you're thankful that your previous asleep self had the bravery and persistence to complete this voyage. Many times over, it was well worth the effort. Stage 5 of awakening, the stage of conscious creation. When they reach stage 4, many individuals think it's the end of the waking process, but in reality, it's just a stepping stone to an even more profound experience. In addition to experiencing and developing all of the characteristics of stage 4 of awakening, you also take charge of your own destiny as a conscious creator in stage 5. Despite the fact that existence has no predetermined meaning or purpose, you now realize that it can have whatever meaning or purpose you choose. You incorporate this realization by actively selecting your life's purpose, since that is what matters most. Play and work become one, and you find contentment and serenity in both. You follow your creativity and genuine desire instead of feeling compelled or needing to accomplish anything. You feel a deep connection to all living things and are motivated to create in whole new ways. By means of an intuitive link with infinite intelligence, one may create novel frameworks for community building, education, or leading. At this point, you have the capacity to draw people together and create groups that advance humankind. You may now deliberately build the life you want by mastering your ideas and beliefs and live both in the now and the future. You are a channel of expression in whatever you do, in perfect relationship with the Prime Creator. There are no examinations to pass, and you cannot do it wrong, no matter what level you are at right now. Like the caterpillar that transforms into a butterfly, awakening is only a natural process. One often asked question is how long each step takes. Although the amount of time we spend in each stage is not set in stone, using a mindfulness practice of letting go can help us go through a stage more quickly and easily. It's true that the key to awakening is letting go.